Then, having established all this in our life, order, which means the art of learning, the art of putting everything in its right place. Sex in its right place, money in its right place, everything. And you can only do that when there's freedom from this, from thought which is always creating problems, issues, because thought is limited. So put thought in its right place. Then we can proceed, or rather, from putting the thing in the right place, we are beginning to meditate. You copy? Shall I go into all that? You want me to go into all this? Most meditation, now first of all, that's a new word introduced into the West, right? It has existed in India for thousands of years, like there's trades. So there are different forms of meditation. From India, the Hindu type of meditation, there is the Buddhist type of meditation, there is the Tibetan type of meditation, there is the Zen meditation, and the gurus that invent something new but along the same line. So there are different types of meditation in the world. And there is those absurd transcendental meditation with all that nonsense. So we're going to find out what is meditation. We are new, you understand? We are new to it. We haven't been conditioned by what people have said about meditation, and you have practiced. All that is too absurd, too childish. But we're going to find out what is meditation, what is implied in it. If you have not put everything in its right place, to find out what is meditation is impossible. Because then you will get caught in some illusion. Right? That is, if mind is not free to look into what is meditation, how can you learn about it? How can you understand it? You must come to it like a child who goes for the first time to learn how to write. He goes to it, fresh, innocent, curious. But you've already said, this is meditation, you must sit in a certain way, you must stand in a certain way, breathe in a certain way. Then the trivialities become all important. So we're going to find out what is meditation. And why is it so important to meditate? Why has the East given such extraordinary importance to it, which is now gradually sweeping over the West? It's a very complex problem, this. All right, if you have time and the energy to listen, listen. If you don't, it doesn't matter. You can observe that the Grecian Grecian culture from Greece, ancient Greece, has swept over the West. I'm not a historian, but you can see it. You can observe it. To them, the intellect mattered enormously. Their theories, their discoveries, their argument, their democracy, you follow? That is, thought was tremendously important for them. That is, thought being measure. Go into, you can see. Thought is measure. That is, measure means from here to there. Also that means comparing, measuring. So the West has cultivated enormous technology. If you had no measure, there would be no technology. Right? Obvious. And the other side, the whole Asiatic, really began in India. Indians said, all measurement, the ancient Hindus, not the modern ones, they're all as crooked as the rest of the world, including the gurus. The ancients have said, measurement is illusion. Consider it, see the reason of it. They said to find the immeasurable, mind must be free of measure. One side, measurement. The other side, non-measurement. Right? To find that which is eternal, which is timeless, which is immeasurable, which is nameless, which is Jehovah, which is God, which Brahman, and all the rest of it, there must be no measure. That means no comparison. They don't say that. I'm saying, the speaker is saying, no comparison. So, the West, laying complete all emphasis on thought, memory, knowledge, experience, and through knowledge ascending more and more and more. And the other said, no measurement. But to find that which is immeasurable, they began to think about it. They began to evolve, growth. You follow? Practice, do this, don't do that, which is all based on thought. Only here technology, there non-technology. But technology is now conquering India too. So you have this problem. Can the mind be free of all measurement? Measurement is to think in terms of the past or the future. The present being measured by the past, modified by that measurement, and that measurement continuing into the future, which is our life. Measurement. Yesterday I was, today I may change, tomorrow it'll be something different. So, the movement of meditation is to live in daily life without measurement. Which means without the movement of thought, which is measure. The ending of time can only come into being, which is the ending of time as thought, as movement, all that, when thought has discovered its own limitation, right? And puts it in its right place. Are you following all this? It has been one of our problems of man and woman. She has been always asking whether there is an end to time. Stopping of time. Not the stopping of time of the science fiction, which you can imagine all the rest of it, but actually the ending of thought, which is the movement of mirror, which is the movement of time. I don't know if it interests you. Not interesting, it's a part of life. As we said, the art of listening, the art of seeing, the art of learning consists in understanding the word art. Art means to put everything in its right place. The actual dictionary meaning of that word. When once you have put, when everything has its right place, then the mind is completely at rest. Right? Because it's obvious. So, from that, there arises the question, what is awareness and what is attention? Is awareness part of attention? Is awareness part of concentration? You aren't tired of all this? Well, I don't know, you should be. Just manage. Or is attention nothing to do with concentration or with awareness? So we'll have to examine those three things, because, no, not because. Meditation is involved in this. Awareness is to be aware of the things around you, right? To be aware of the mountains, the rivers, the shadows, the snow, the birds, the ravens, the people, the things they wear, the things, so on, so to be aware of this tent, the shape of it. But in that awareness, your prejudices enter. Your opinions enter. This isn't right, it should be that way. I don't like that color, but I like the other color. You follow? You are aware, but this constant choice, constant evaluation. So can you observe? Can you be aware without reaction? Which doesn't mean that you don't have reactions. Just to observe the mountain without any reaction, to look at it, just to look at it. The moment you bring in your prejudice, anxiety, all the rest of it, you're not aware. You're caught in your own net. Concentration implies, I must be quick because the time is past. Concentration implies exclusion and giving all your energy on a particular point. Right? Don't look out of the window, but pay attention to the book. That's what we're told in school. But if you are the teacher and say, look what you are, when you are looking out of the window, do look at it completely. Don't say, don't be frightened of looking. You understand? So, attention is freedom from every form of evaluation measurement. Because in that, there is no center. I don't know if you have discovered it for yourself. If you attend completely to something, there's no center. There is no me being attentive. That's too silly. If you see that, see the fact of it, then you realize there is no practice. There is no system to be aware, to attend, to concentrate. That's all again so extraordinarily silly. Moment you understand this whole business of attention, of awareness, concentration, and attention, then you are attentive. That attention may last 2 seconds or 5 minutes, and you may lose that attention. But don't go back and say, I must be attentive. You understand? Attention came because you knew what it means. You follow? There was an understanding of, deep understanding, not intellectual, of what attention is. It came naturally. But if you begin to say, I must have constant attention during the day, you are being terribly greedy. And it becomes it's no longer attention. It's a desire to have something which you call attention. So, when there is such attention, the mind, because there is no center from which to attend, the mind is completely quiet. Not that you train the mind to be quiet, which all of them practice, to be quiet. Or we all often, when I heard this phrase, I must have peace of mind. They'll have a peace of mind, but it's not peace. You understand? They're just a little piece of something. So, when there is complete order in our life, which is the beginning of meditation, and one understands the nature of awareness, concentration, and attention, then all effort has come to an end. All effort. When you put everything in order, there's no effort. So the mind becomes extraordinarily quiet, uninvited, not cultivated, something totally new. And religion, not this nonsense that's going on around us with all their priests and ceremonies and all that circus that goes on. Then religion means the ending of the self, the me. It's only then that mind can be absolutely, irrevocably quiet. And therefore, silent, which means the ending of thought, as time and measure. Then if the mind has gone that far, in that silence, which is vast space and energy, there is totally a state which cannot be put into words. But if you put everything in order and so on, it will come to you without your invitation. You cannot invite truth. There is no path to truth. There is no intermediary or gateway or anything between you and truth. You have to come. If the field is right, then that thing comes to you with such glory. That is ecstasy. In that there is great sacredness. That is holy.